Following that event, it is important for us to break down the details, the benefits of everything that our concentrator brings to the country. Part of the job we do is not just to communicate for the government, but to ensure that we bring stakeholders from the cross sector, the public sector, private sector, to this platform to speak to these issues. Once the interest and the benefit of the country is at stake. So today you see the press conference took a different twist. We'll have people from the private sector here. They come from Arcelor Mittal, Liberia. When you have corporate or private people in your midst, you can talk to them about politics. You allow them to speak. When they leave the hall, and we'll do our normal thing, right? So today we have a full house, high-power delegation from Arcelor Mittal, Liberia. They come to talk about what a new phase of their investment means for the country. And as head of that delegation is Mr. Anthony P. Kocken. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Arcelor Mittal, Liberia. He will be the main speaker. Of course, he's accompanied by Mr. Jala Selman, Mr. Liberian, the General Manager of Mines, Ms. Rebecca Kwabo. She's the Head of Human Resources and Development, Arcelor Mittal, Liberia. Mr. Marcos Ware, a very familiar name, is Head of Sustainability and External Relations. And Mr. Winston Dayu, for some of you who are media practitioners, Winston Dayu is one of you. He used to work with 2FM, RCR, and then he just went missing, he was missing. Now he's in the private sector. He's the communication manager for Arcelor Mittal, Liberia. So let me just give you a brief profile of who the main speaker is, Mr. Anthony Kocken. As Chief Operating Officer of Arcelor Mittal, Liberia, Mr. Kocken is responsible for overseeing the company's day-to-day operational functions, ensuring efficient and safe extraction, processing, and delivery of raw materials. He is a key executive and plays a central role in executing corporate strategy and driving operational excellence across all of AFL mining sites. Mr. Kocken has over 26 years of operational and senior management expertise, predominantly working across Africa. His profile is very rich, but when you have such an important guest, it's not going to talk too much. So, without much, what I have to say on behalf of the government, I'll reserve it. Mr. Kocken will speak on behalf of the Arcelor Mittal delegation. They have a presentation today. Okay, so he will speak, and then he will entertain questions from the focus state. I hope you are ready. And then after the presentation, they respond to the question, they will excuse us, and then we'll do our regular conversation on behalf of the government. So let me now stand on the listening protocol to invite Mr. Kocken to the microphone.
So first of all, good afternoon, and it is a pleasure and to welcome you here, and we are honoured and to be in the presence of, first of all, the Acting Minister, Mr. Kocken, and also the Deputy Minister, Mr. Sandu. Government officials, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press. So also, good afternoon, Liberia. I am truly honoured and deeply proud to represent Arcelor Mittal, Liberia today, this pivotal moment in the nation's journey towards economic transformation and industrial innovation. Just 1 week ago, we stood shoulder to shoulder with the government and the people of Liberia to commission the country's first ever iron ore concentrator, a historic milestone that marks not just the evolution of our operations, but the beginning of a new era in Liberia. Today we gather not only to share what we have accomplished together, but to ignite national excitement about what lies ahead for this operation. Having said that, I would also like to acknowledge and thank our award-winning Liberian team who accompany me here today. We truly have some exceptional talent within the company, and they are joined with me here this afternoon. So thank you, Jella, Rebecca, Marcus and Winston for also being here and being part of this very, very important event to explain what has just recently occurred. So having said that, this is an opportunity to address the Liberian nation and to give an update of what has just recently happened. So we are happy to be here today, just within a few days of the inauguration of Liberia's first ever iron ore concentrator by His Excellency, the President, Mr. Joseph Boakai, and our Group Chairman, Mr. Mittal. This is a landmark and historic achievement, not only for Arcelor Mittal, but for Liberia's economic future. This moment represents the evolving and resilient partnership between Arcelor Mittal and the government and the people of Liberia, which has been built over 2 decades of shared growth. This is a game changer for the Liberian mining sector. This new concentrator is a flagship component of AML's new investment of $1.8 billion in the Phase 2 expansion, a bold step in transforming raw extraction into industrial beneficiation. With this new investment, Arcelor Mittal's total investment in Liberia will be $3.5 billion, which is one of the largest investments in the iron ore mining sector to date in West Africa. This facility enables Arcelor Mittal Liberia to convert medium-grade ore into high-grade iron on Liberian soil, significantly increasing the value of the country's natural resources. This marks completion of one of the largest industrial complexes ever built in Liberia, paving the way for value-added processing in Liberia, the very essence of industrialisation, ensuring Liberia's position as a regional mining leader. The key technical features of this totally integrated system include a processing facility of 15 million metric tonnes per annum, thereby increasing the output of the current 5 million tonnes to a total annual production of 20 million tonnes. This is equipped with state-of-the-art crushing and grinding circuits, magnetic separation systems for efficiency, advanced environmental controls and tailings management systems. These systems are fully integrated with Arcelor Mittal Liberia's 243-kilometre modernised Tokaday to Buchanan railway with a totally expanded capacity. Upgraded Port of Buchanan infrastructure with large material handling facilities to support global export of value-added ore. On top of this, this is underpinned by our technical skills development. These programs are facilitated at Arcelor Mittal's Liberian Trading Academies, which offer 2- and 3-year tuition-free, internationally standard technical training in the areas of electrical, mechanical fitters, boilermakers, welders, fitters and turners, instrumentation, just to name a few of the technical programs. The institutions have currently trained 163 artisans, which have all been fully employed recently into the operations. A further 138 are currently enrolled and on their journey towards obtaining the graduations in these technical skill areas. Additional to that, we have 122 graduates of the processing facility, which was a 2-year program, all of which have been recently employed, and a further 90 are currently going through their training programs. Additional to this, the Technical Centre in Buchanan is currently being expanded to further underpin the technical skills development. Arcelor Mittal Liberia is deeply committed to empowering Liberians through comprehensive training and development initiatives, ensuring a sustainable and skilled workforce for the future. The transformational impact on Liberia, which the economy has received, is a major boost to export and the nation's gross domestic product. Fiscal gains for government include the national revenue from Arcelor Mittal Liberia's operations projected to rise from circa $35 million to over $125 million annually, enabling further budget support for the government towards health, education, infrastructure and more. This project and this journey also has built jobs. Over 5,000 jobs have been created in the construction phase of the project. And additional to that, the expansion has created an additional 1,000 roles, which will take the permanent workforce to in excess of 3,000 employees. We see boost to the local economy, significant expanded procurement from Liberian-owned businesses, opportunity for development of local manufacturing businesses for meeting requirements of this large industrial enterprise. Direct community investments include the annual Community Social Development Fund, which will increase to $4 million annually when the third amendment is concluded. Also funding public services, youth programs and infrastructure in the Grand Bassa, Bong and Nimba counties. We take great pride in our government partnership and the leadership appreciation that has been afforded to us. We thank His Excellency, the President, Mr. Joseph Boakai, and the Government of Liberia for the visionary leadership and consistent support over a long period. This achievement is the result of collaboration of the Ministry of Mines and Energy, the National Investment Commission, Finance, Public Works and other stakeholders. In the words of President Boakai in the recent inauguration ceremony, he stated, "This concentrator marks a new dawn in Liberian mining, moving us towards raw exports to value-added processing that benefits our people." Also, the chairman of Arcelor Mittal, Mr. Mittal, declared, "This concentrator is not just a facility, it is a symbol of transformation and shared progress." Moving on, our commitment to sustainable community development. AML continues to invest in schools, clinics and hospitals, vocational training centres and modern marketplaces. We fund hundreds of scholarships for Liberian students annually, both locally and internationally. AML is also a champion of environmental stewardship, engaging in biodiversity conservation, protecting species, tree planting, land reclamation, and sustainable mining practices. The long-term vision. We have demonstrated we are here for the long haul and laying foundations for decades to come. Our investment totaling $3.5 billion shows a lasting commitment to Liberia's prosperity. AML's plans to continue investing for further growth, with plans for 30 million tonnes annually, are already in progress. We pledge to remain transparent, inclusive and environmentally responsible. Our engagement with government, civil society and host communities will continue to deepen, ensuring shared growth and mutual success. Our closing message. The commissioning of Liberia's first iron ore concentrator is just the beginning. We are proud to stand with Liberians as it rises into a new era of industrial innovation and economic sovereignty. Arcelor Mittal remains committed to a brighter, more resilient future for all Liberians. So I thank you.
You will send the questions, right? Thank you. Very brief presentation. So we come on. Let's get the questions from the journalists and we'll take notes and then respond.
Thank you, Minister. Please come in the queue. And I hope you listen attentively because based upon the presentation, just stick to your question. Please come in. Please introduce yourself. I will go to start the field and the question will respond.
Thank you. My name is Daros Kanga and I will go for Kocken. Sir, at the program in my country, President Walker described the initiative as a milestone. And I want to know what role has the government played in that project, and how would you describe the partnership with the government?
Well, thank you. My name is Will Wilford Rossi. I report for the Poor Media. Two questions. Arcelor Mittal extract raw materials in Liberia, and Liberians want to know if the 1.4 billion project built will Arcelor Mittal this time produce raw materials here in Liberia? And the last question, what's the agreement between Arcelor Mittal and the government as it relates to Liberians occupying key positions within the institution? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Arcelor Philip. I work for the New Liberia newspaper.
So, Pamela? Yes, sir. You respond after the question. Okay. He said, "I was one question." Just be complete. Don't be complete.
My name is Arcelor Phillips. I work for the New Liberia newspaper. Two questions quickly. Arcelor Mittal has been here about 2 decades now. But the area Arcelor Mittal is located, situated in the Geketa area. Liberia had a company there before, the Lampo. There were structures, concrete structures that the workers lived in. It was like an escape before we used to call it Liberia. Today, you Arcelor Mittal there 2 decades now. Our workers there privately live in 10, living something like that, but stronger. We are now putting on a 1.9 billion concentrator. Do you have plans to ensure that you build concrete structures for the employees when they work on that site, so that that place can be looking like they were looking before? The second question is, the last question is, you take iron ore from Liberia, but yet we don't have a correct steroid in the country, things that iron ore come from. Are you willing to reproduce those ores into steroid that we can buy cheaply in Liberia? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those questions. The first question was in relation to the partnership between AML and the government. What we are seeing is a tremendous collaboration between the government and Arcelor Mittal, and the interactions with all the ministries. So to have a venture of this nature and of this scale, we need to coordinate and cooperate, and we need to have good avenues of communication and understanding. And I think what we see is a tremendous relationship that has been underpinned by the comments of the President recently in Kocken. So I think that speaks for itself. It speaks volumes of the investment and the future growth in Liberia for us in the south. Okay, the next question was in relation to on processing of iron ore, and also the last gentleman, I think that was also your question. At the moment, what we do is we take a medium grade product, and with the concentrator we're able to upgrade that and value add to it. So it actually adds significant value to what we call the resource. And it adds additional life of mine, and therefore revenue streams for future generations. In terms of iron ore production, iron ore production into steel requires a high energy input, and to have that, it requires a big investment in the energy sector, which currently is not possible under the current environment that we operate here in. So is it something that could be feasible in the future? Yes, it is. Is it currently feasible with the infrastructure that is required? That is currently not on the horizon. Okay. In terms of, I understand the question in relation to what MAMCO previously had produced and the current circumstances that we see in Yekka. We have a system, and we currently have a program for upgrading and beautification of the facilities in Yekka and the surrounding communities. So that includes everything from hospitals, schools, to sporting and recreation facilities and housing. But we're also invested in looking at different models for housing for our employees, and looking at models whereby employees can have a path to ownership of their own housing. So we do have housing benefit scheme that is paid to our employees, and we are looking to extend that into a home ownership model, which we're still working through.
If you're done, you can have a seat and ask the second time questions.
So please introduce yourself. Desmond, you are the last person. Desmond, thank you. Well, good afternoon. Kura Thompson. Okay, I'm Kura Thompson, and I report for the truly independent New Dawn newspaper. I have just a question for you, Mr. Kocken. Liberia's railway and port infrastructure are very important to economic growth. Can you tell us how AML's modernization of these assets on phase 2 support national development? Thank you.
Steven Ramos and I'm for the Government Agency. I got 3 questions. The first question has to do with your projected 2.5 billion investment, especially in the phase 2 project of the company. We are concerned about the just benefit of these affected areas, the communities from within you operate, how is it going to be like? And we're also concerned about job creation. For your first 2 projects, how many jobs are expected to be created? Are you also going to take into consideration the Decent Work Act where more Liberians are expected to get certain number of jobs or certain position within your company? Are you also looking at that? What more are expected as benefits to Liberians? Thank you.
All right, I'm Larry SDB. I'm looking for marketing. I'll say quickly, when the soil is being used for investment purposes, in return, sometimes the environment is affected. In most instances, it will be negative. So I want to know the measures you have to ensure that these things they don't affect the people. And due to that, what is your relationship with the Environmental Protection Agency of that country? Thank you.
So my name is Joseph Selly. Okay. So my name is Joseph Selly and I report for ABC Radio. My first question, I want to know what's the current status. Does Arcelor Mittal still have exclusive right to the rail? Because the President of the Republic of Liberia set up inter-ministerial committee to investigate them. Talking about multi-users, I want to know what's the current status of does Arcelor Mittal still have exclusive right to the rail? And lastly, one of the senator of Nema County, he alleged that Arcelor Mittal Liberia still owes scholarship students arrears. I want to know, does Arcelor Mittal still have outstanding arrears for scholarship students? Thank you.
So you can respond.
There were prior questions that she wanted to address, but she does not indicate. So, HR.
Good afternoon. I'd like to respond to the questions on key employment into key roles in Arcelor Mittal Liberia. So currently, we do have Liberians occupying key roles at Arcelor Mittal Liberia. We have the head of HR, I'm the head of HR in Liberia. We have the head of legal, the head of health and safety. We have the head of external relations, the head of social services. We have our general manager for mining. We also have the security head. So these are all Liberians who are holding part of the management team, the senior management team of Arcelor Mittal Liberia. In addition to that, we're running development initiatives to prepare successors for other key roles into the business. So last year, we trained over 50 Liberians in different kinds of leadership programs to address this gap. So meanwhile, while we have Liberians currently occupying senior managerial roles in the company, we're also preparing a lot more to take on more roles in the company. Thank you.
We ain't got nobody in finance.
We have a finance manager, that's Dr. Ramba.
Who has acted as CFO?
It is also act as a CFO.
Let me take the community and Jala will take the environment. So in my role as head of sustainability, I manage all our community and sustainable development work and so forth. Again, one of the things I'm proud of, and one of the reasons why I even joined Arcelor Mittal was the direct approach that the government then took to ensure that there was targeted investment in communities. As you're all aware, as part of our agreement with the government, we pay $3 billion annually for direct investment in the street countries where we operate. To date, we pay over $56 million, and that money is paid directly to the government for those communities. Over and above of that, we spend nearly 2 times that amount for other initiatives. Some of you don't know, but roads are things that can help community to thrive. So one of the first things we did was to put some significant amount of resources into constructing, partnering with the government to construct one of the major access routes in Nimba County, which is the Ganta to Yekapa Road. I'm sure some of you have used the road before. And we also invest in various community roads. There's a main road that comes from Nimba and goes all over the Grand Bazaar via the railroad. That's also being upgraded. And regularly, sometimes people say we are the public works ministry in Grand Bazaar because we maintain most of the roads. But importantly, in the past, there were some complaints from communities about having access to the money. So the government decided to say, well, Arcelor Mittal, you should retain a portion of that money and let the communities, we call them affected communities, pay directly, decide the progress, and then you pay them. So that's what we're doing. But we don't look at legal commitments only when it comes to community benefits. Community benefits are in 3 forms. Number 1, the progress that you do in partnership, and then you help the community to build your own capacity, which is targeted employment. I think Rebecca mentioned that. So now, in the past, we have people say, oh, the jobs, we don't get the jobs and so forth. We ensure that every contractor or vendor that has a contract which involves employing people is reading their contract that they must, first of all, employ locals. And there are penalties for that if you do not employ locals and so forth. So I'm happy to report that you better be checking my numbers that when it comes to employment, especially in the 3 counties that we operate, majority of the people who are there working, especially the contractors and so forth, are from those 3 areas. And she can produce the numbers to you. But don't take our word for it. Because one of the things we do, Arcelor Mittal, is very important. We always write our own self-assessment of our compliance with MDA. Somebody says, oh, the company is not living up to MDA commitment. We're the only company in Liberia that writes an assessment report and give it to the government and say, come check and verify. And Winston can provide copies of that MDA compliance report to the ministry for onward distribution. This is transparency. It is commitment to be fair and transparent to Liberia. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Jala Sema, General Manager, Mining. So at Arcelor Mittal, basically from our mining operations, environmental protection is not just a requirement, it's a responsibility that we take very serious. So there are a lot of mitigation methods, there are a lot of strict non-compliance issues that come up with, and we know that we have already identified these ones, and we put a lot of measures in place to ensure that we are fully in compliance with the legal and the governmental environmental protection agency laws. So during mining, we ensure that we have our water going downstreams are well protected and reach down to the villages and ensure that it's clean. So we put in sediment controls. We build check dams to ensure that at the end of the day, water reaching down will be fully clean. And then there are a lot of other methods we put in place, like the dust control. We monitor the dust, we monitor the water quality to ensure that all of our mining, and we have a limited area we barricade to ensure we have sensitive part of the mine that we don't allow water to go. These areas are being protected 100%. And after mining, it is our responsibility to ensure that we leave the land very safe and usable for the environment as well.
The gentleman who posited the question regarding the railroad, and the future capacity and what has Arcelor Mittal done as part of phase 2. So essentially, $800 million has been invested in the rehabilitation of the rail corridor. This includes total sleeper replacement over the 243 kilometres, new sidings, work on new yards, additional capacity for around 600 new wagons, 20 new locomotives, signalling and rail systems and technology as part of the engineering requirement to run a rail and port network of this scale. This also is looking towards the 30 million tonne capacity that we need to in the near future. I'll hand over to Marcus in relation to the question for the MDA and the capacity for other users on the road.
Thank you, Anthony. As you know, we've been in discussion with the government regarding the amendment of the Mineral Development Agreement. I think the negotiations, some of you have really followed some of them. They've been very tough, and we welcome the government very strong scrutiny of the work that we've done so far. And we're happy to say that the negotiations are on course, and very soon I'm sure the government will notify you about the progress that has been made. All the assets that we use as part of our Mineral Development Agreement belong to the government. So there's no question about who has access. Access to the railroad is determined by the government as per the Mineral Development Agreement. So, and Arcelor has always expressed our willingness to work with the government to allow a multi-user arrangement. And we are committed to that, always. There was a question about scholarship arrears. I should inform you that a couple of years back, the National Bureau of Concession did an assessment of our MDA compliance. And that happened before we did our own self-assessment. And it seems, we had the same scores, almost. So it gave us an idea that at least we're on the right path. There was this issue about whether we have paid the full amount for the advanced study scholarship, which is the master's degree program and so forth, what have you. So after they went through the audit, they made some recommendations. I can tell you we are up to date, so we don't owe any scholarship arrears. There's a question about, pardon me, the left one thing else. One more on the relationship with the government, right? I think you addressed that. Okay, so no scholarship arrears were owed, and of course, we are hoping to having stakeholders come and verify what we say. Everything we say here is backed up by facts and information that is verifiable. Thank you.
The last three will take the last part. Please introduce yourself from Carol.
One question.